And thank you for attending today. We're really excited and thrilled to be welcoming you to Making Energy Visible in your classroom today. My name is Alicia Roberge, and I'm the instructional leader for the Sustainability Office at the TDSB. I'm joined today by my colleagues Jen Vetter and Chris Metropolis, and by my colleagues from the Ontario Institute for Studies at the University of Toronto, with whom we work with in close partnership to deliver PD on environment and climate change education, Dr. Hilary Inwood and Sarah Urquhart. Thank you. So before we begin, please join me as a settler on these lands in acknowledging our gratitude for the ability to be gathered here today on this land with the TDSB land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. In the art beside, we see it's from 2020. In 2020, a Bead Your Province map of Canada was created by Indigenous artists across the country. It was part of a large-scale art project. This map reflects the diversity of Indigenous cultures in mosaic form and reminds us that each nation is individual and distinct in terms of its history, cultural practices, protocols, and contributions to all of the lives of all peoples across Turtle Island. On the right-hand side, you could just see also all the different artists that contributed to it. So I'm eager to introduce you today to our presenter, Katie Zayak from Green Learning, who will be speaking to us about how we can incorporate more energy literacy into our classroom. Green Learning creates free education programs about energy, climate change, and green economy that engage and empower students to create positive changes for our evolving world. Their programs include both hands-on and critical thinking activities to equip educators with educational tools they need to help students understand complex environmental issues. So Katie Zayak, who is the engagement manager for Green Learning, will be speaking to us today. Has a background in conservation and biodiversity with experience in the environmental sector, including event coordination, conservation planning, and work with both Canadian and global species. Her passion for the environment, safeguarding species at risk, and promoting a sustainable future motivates her to share her knowledge with others. And without further ado, I will introduce you to Katie and let her begin. Thank you.
Thank you. I will share my screen here. All right, welcome everyone to this webinar on making energy visible. As mentioned, my name is Katie and I'm the Environmental Education Engagement Manager here at Green Learning. And again, just with Green Learning, we are an organization that focuses on clean energy, climate change, green economy. We really work to provide different resources for you guys to bring into your classroom to really engage your students and to empower them to use their voice. So through this session, I really want you guys to understand how to conserve energy and make your classrooms more energy efficient using different tools, and also highlight how to make energy visible to your students so they have an understanding on the importance behind sustainability using energy. So I'm going to take you through a few different things. I'm going to show you a tool that we have here that you can bring into your classroom. And then I do have a little engagement activity that's also a great way to get your students up and moving. So to start off with, we have our Energy Revealed program, and this is targeted for students in grades 3 to 12. It does contain 2 streams, a junior level at grades 3 to 8 and a senior level grades 9 to 12. And each of these lesson plans and activities, they do have curriculum connections, which can also be found on our website. So this program really explores how to make energy visible in your home or in your school. And it really teaches your students how to become energy efficient experts. Okay, so we're working towards getting your students participating in initiatives to raise awareness on energy efficiency and conservation. So we're going to look at TDSB schools. And in Toronto, about 50% of greenhouse gas emissions are generated by buildings. And TDSB is actually the second largest property owner in the city, which means these buildings have a huge impact on our overall greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so you can see this chart. It's kind of broken down with the total energy use in the K to 12 school buildings. And you can see most of our energy comes from natural gas use and electricity. Okay, so thinking about all the lights on and everything that you use in your school. So it really makes sense that energy education should start at the school level, and that this is the best place to get students familiar with energy use, energy consumption, best practices, and energy efficiency. So in thinking about making energy visible, you can think of energy use like an iceberg, okay? So what's visible to us and what we see above the surface are things like lights, TVs, projectors, computers in your classroom, maybe Chromebooks, okay? But below the surface is what we call phantom energy or hidden energy. So this is the power our devices and appliances use even after they're turned off or they're put on standby. It also includes the energy it takes to make and ship all the things that we use. So the more that we can see and understand energy use, the more we can change it. And that's what we're really trying to get your students to understand. We want them to see it and understand it. So how do we help students see and understand energy use? Well, this is where our 4 approaches to energy education come in, okay? So each of these allows us as educators to introduce energy concepts to our students, help them understand energy consumption, and then ultimately what we want them to do is take action based on their learning. So our first approach here is experiential. So experiential learning, having students learning by doing, okay, and engaging them in hands-on activities. So experiential approaches are where we focus on actions and movement. So if you're teaching a younger grade, it could be something as simple as saying, rub your hands together. What do you feel? Okay, you're generating that heat. You could participate in role playing, okay? So give students different roles to play and have them act out different scenes. So have one student be the sun and have them rise and be sending out rays, and then have other students be plants or animals and really show how those interact with the sun and how like plants absorb light and they grow, how rabbits and insects, they eat plants, okay? And then finally come back to reflection. So asking your students, what did they notice? What does this mean? Really reflecting on that, on their findings, okay? So we're really honing in on student curiosity and creativity. So one of our activities on our site is a Knowing Energy stair climb. And so students here can learn more about energy through their experience in climbing stairs, okay? So this could be a great get out of the classroom and kind of show them how energy works, okay? And this is all easily scaled up or down for each grade level. The second approach is visual, okay? Illustrating the flow of energy using diagrams, movement, demonstrations, or experiments. So this is really making energy become visible. So we're using those diagrams, those models, anything to really help illustrate energy use or energy systems, okay? So this diagram that I have here really shows how current sources that produce energy and greenhouse gas emissions like transportation, agriculture, or electricity, and how those emissions, they move into the atmosphere, and then how some of those emissions end up being absorbed by different carbon sinks like trees or bodies of water like the ocean, okay? But while the rest remain in the atmosphere. So you're really showing how greenhouse gases are produced versus absorbed. So this is just another way to really allow students to see energy coming to life, really showing them that transfer of energy through different systems. And as part of the Energy Revealed program, we do have a variety of modules with lesson plans and activities for students to really have that opportunity to investigate their energy use, as well as gain insight by calculating the amount of energy one electrical device or appliance uses. So I think a link will be shared in the chat or after this on our Energy Revealed program, where you can find all of these different lesson plans there and all these different activities. Then we're going to get into our third approach, which is measurable, okay? So collecting and tracking data to understand its impact. So providing those opportunities to your students to measure energy just makes it that much more real and come to life, okay? So with younger students, it could be something as simple as counting the lights that are in your classroom or counting the amount of lights that are in your school. If you're at the middle school level, maybe you're using a thermometer to show them temperature changes, okay? A high school, you could be doing energy audits. And one of the best things, or one of my favorite things to do, would be using watt meters that really show how things come to life. And this is really, in measuring energy, we're really focusing on using tools to collect and quantify energy use, okay? And this is where those watt meters and our electrical energy calculators will come into play. So I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen because I do want to show you guys. So I do have this watt meter here, okay? So on this, it's going to calculate the number of watts. So I've plugged it into my power cord, and I have a lamp here that I'm going to plug into my watt meter. So you can see my watt meter says 0. And when I turn my lamp on, you can see that the numbers start to rise on the watt meter. Okay, so it says it's about 11.6. So I'm going to write that down. And then, so if anybody wants to throw into the chat a number, how many minutes you think that you would use a lamp like this for, would you use it for 60 minutes, 120 minutes? How many minutes would you say you would use this lamp for? 120 minutes. Okay. So we'll use that. And I'm also going to show you one, because this one's pretty cool to kind of see. You don't really realize how much energy your hair dryer uses. Okay, so when it's turned on. So I'm going to plug my hair dryer in. It says 0 watts right now, and I'm going to put it on the highest setting. So you can see it jumps all the way up to 963 watts. Okay, so that's a ton of energy, and I know depending on your hair dryer, it could be even more than that. So does anybody want to say how long do you use a hair dryer for? You say like 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Yeah, should we do 10? Okay, let's do 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okay, so this is where, let me unplug this. This is now where our energy calculators come into play. So I'm going to reshare my screen with you guys. All right. So this is our energy calculator page. So here you can find every single calculator for every province, every territory. And to use these calculators, you do not need to have a watt meter. You can do research for your students if they're a younger grade and come up with the number of watts, or if they're an older grade, they could do the research themselves, come up with the watts, and then you guys can use the calculators. So since we're in Ontario, I'm going to click on the Ontario calculator, and this is the page that'll pop up. So first I'll put in for our lamp. So the number of watts our lamp was 11.6. With minutes per day used, we said 120, wrong one, 11.6 with 120 minutes. Okay, so then you calculate your yearly energy use. So you can see here the amount of electricity, which is 8 kilowatt hours per year. You can see the amount of greenhouse gases emitted per year is 280 grams, and then the cost, okay? So then if we put in for our hair dryer, which was 963, and we said we're using that for 10 minutes, you can see that the amount of electricity is 59 kilowatt per hours, and the amount of greenhouse gases emitted every year is 2065. Now, I'm going to write that number down because we're going to fly over to Alberta for a minute, because I want you to see that this is a great tool to also help your students see the differences between provinces, and between provinces, the amount of energy that they use. So if we put in 963 watts and we still use that 10 minutes per day, you can see with Alberta, there are over 39,000 greenhouse gases emitted, as opposed to in Ontario where there's only 2,000. So you can see there's a huge difference, and that difference comes from where the electricity is generated. So in Alberta, the electricity is mainly generated using fossil fuels. But in Ontario, our electricity generation comes more from nuclear energy and comes from hydro energy. Okay, so cleaner sources. So that's just a really good tool for you to bring into your classroom, easy enough to bring into your classroom and do comparisons on different devices and do different comparisons between different provinces and territories. So, and then that kind of takes us to our last approach, which is action oriented. So encouraging those next steps that make students feel even more empowered that their efforts can make some sort of change. And these actions can be through small personal habits. They could be through school campaigns, energy audits. It's a real way to get them to connect with local energy conservation groups, look into connections to energy and climate injustice, and even participate in some of Green Learning's activities and programs, so such as our eCard program, which is a real advocacy program that I'll touch on a little later here. But for the moment, this is an activity, Take a Stand, that I would like to do with you guys. And this is a great activity to bring into your classroom because it is one that can be scaled up or down, and there will also be a link shared to this activity. So it's basically, you'll have a statement up on the screen, and then you ask your students, do you agree or disagree? So what I want you guys to do is, with the statement, I want you to put into the chat, do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Feel free to also put your opinion as to why you agree or disagree. We're just going to start with a practice one. The first one, pineapple belongs on pizza. Do you agree with this, or do you not agree with this? See disagree, I see agree. Oh, lots of agrees. Wow, lots of agrees. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into ones that are now about energy. Okay. So the first one, involving students in energy saving decisions and conservation efforts can improve school culture and responsibility. Do we agree or disagree? See lots of agrees. Does anybody want to share why they agree with this? Or do we want to just keep it to ourselves?
I think when anything's invisible and you don't notice it, then yes, I think then it becomes a problem. So it is important for them to make the decisions and see it, because yeah, they take responsibility for more.
Yeah.
I was going to say it helps to develop student agency, that they can have a positive impact in the world, and practicing that in their school first before they get older and can do that in their community is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Teachers shouldn't be responsible for energy conservation. School boards should be in charge of this. Do you agree or disagree? Disagree? Everyone should be. Disagree, 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 but of course both. Okay, does anybody feel like sharing in the chat why they disagree?
I'll jump in. I think school boards, I mean, they can sort of set set policy and expectations, but really having teachers bring it into their classrooms can amplify the impact of those and really make it come to life for students.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Our next one. Wealthier nations should do more to fund the transition to clean energy. Agree or disagree? Okay, I see lots of agrees. Yes. And again, anybody want to share their thoughts?
We made the mess. We should clean up the mess.
All right. All right. So this is an activity that you can do with your students, and we've actually created some questions here that are on the screen where they've been scaled up and down based on grade level. So in doing this in your classroom, and we'll also send you a link to this activity, but doing this in your classroom, you can actually have your students up and moving around. So you could put an agree sign up, a disagree sign up. You can also put a no opinion or unsure sign up, and then have a statement come up on the screen, and then have your students go to whichever area that resonates most with them, and then, or where they feel the strongest with, and have them share their opinions and get them to have those discussions to really hear each other's opinions. And then you can then always ask, oh, would anybody like to switch their opinion after hearing what one person has said? It really allows students to feel the freedom to express their opinion and really get their thoughts out there. So in taking action, I want you guys to think about what this looks like for your class, okay? Does it involve creating an e-card where their creativity can shine through while providing a message about, say, why they care for the earth or what they worry about? Any message that they would like to share. Our e-cards tool is an advocacy tool, and we really want them to be able to get their message out there and use their voice. What does action look like to you? Is it doing some sort of investigation with your students where they can use, say, the watt meters like we had there, or if you don't have the watt meters, make it into a research project. And then using those energy calculators and maybe coming up with some sort of energy savings plan for your school? Or is it even just as simple as turning off the lights, opening your blinds, making sure that you're not using those electronics unnecessarily, or even getting outside with nature, okay? Or is it designing a walk, bike, or carpool day to school, okay? Doing all these simple actions can help take big steps. So in reflecting back, I just want to hear if you guys currently teach energy education in your classroom. How do you teach it? What have you found to work best with students? Are there any barriers you've faced? If anybody wants to share their thoughts, have they done a lot of experiential learning? Do they find students are really much more visual learners? Any thoughts do you guys have? Yes, I see a hand up. I think can you unmute?
Sorry about that. I had to turn on my mic. I teach grade 9 geography, and in our second unit, we talk about resources and industries and climate change. And so in that unit, I do teach about energy. We learn about renewable versus non-renewable, but a recent thing that I incorporated was the GridWatch app, which showcases where energy is produced in Ontario and then how much. So we're getting, like you said, most of it from nuclear, but then also hydroelectricity, and seeing where in the province we might be getting wind or solar and that kind of thing. And the students really liked looking at the map to better understand that. And another thing I have the students do too is track their consumption for 4 days, and energy is one of the categories. So they have to look to see how long they're charging their devices for and how long they're leaving lights on for. And then at the end of that, they take a pledge in terms of how they can reduce their consumption. And energy is a big one for them. A lot of them come to realize that they leave their phone charging overnight, or that they have a fan on all night long while they're sleeping. So things like that, and trying to hit home that the individual decisions they're making can matter.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah, no, that app sounds really great. And that's like bringing that visual to life, right? Yeah. And really helping them to understand what they're using does make an impact, and that them doing it individually then leads to this collective action. Anybody else have any thoughts that they want to share? Chat or mic? If not, I can leave it there and just say thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you do have any questions outside of this webinar, you can definitely reach out at programs@greenlearning.ca. Visit greenlearning.ca and check out all our resources, our activities. They're all completely free on our site. We have everything from energy to renewable energy to flooding, anything like that that you guys would like to incorporate. All the really great resources to empower and engage your students. And we do have an educator survey there if you are interested in providing us with your feedback. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Katie. That was, it is a topic that is a bit harder to sometimes bring into the classroom and to make visible, but using the watt meters and using the different kind of websites that you're showing us, or your activities online to show us exactly how much is being used in each province, is a great tool for teachers. Thank you. Well, we have a few minutes left in the webinar. If anyone has any questions for Katie. And so the Green Learning they're one of our partners, so that you can access their resources. They're also linked also on the EcoSchools GSB webpage too, so you can find all that information there. I have a question. So just with all of I know that you have a lot of great activities and kind of initiatives for students in the classroom. Which ones are you finding that teachers are reaching out and using the most of?
Oh, our simulators. I would say our simulators are like very big to bring into the classroom. So and the calculators, the electrical energy calculators, those are also really good because you can compare the provinces, but we do have a whole bunch of different simulators that also bring that visual learning piece into the classroom. So we have one that is a schoolyard simulator. So basically it's how do you green your schoolyard and how do you protect it against flooding? So bringing different components in. We also have an electric vehicle simulator. So students can go in and do a conversion on a gas-powered car and create it into an electric vehicle. So those are just a couple of our simulators that teachers really seem to really like to bring into the classroom. And also our eCards tool is really big in being able to have students use their voices and such. Because it doesn't just have to be a drawing. They can draw if they would like. If that's a better way for them to get their message across, they can draw, or they can create something through an online creative platform, or they can just write a message. So there's so many different ways. They can even create a video. There's so many different ways for them to use that tool that gives them that flexibility.
Very good. Yeah. I also know you have also the Eco 360, which is interesting. Yeah, to show converting fossil fuel to the energy calculation.
Yeah, and we also have, as part of that Eco 360 one, because that's all about the circular economy, we also have a plastic cycle simulator so that students can see how plastics are affected on land and how they impact the waters and stuff, so they can go around and kind of play with the different components of that.
That's great. Okay. Interesting. Revni, do you want to?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you for Katie. This is amazing. I really appreciate. And honestly, I'm feeling a little embarrassed. I should have done my homework, but I actually didn't. But you actually made it so easy to understand, so thank you. My question is actually for Alicia. Alicia, I'm not sure how many TDSB schools have solar panels, because the responsibility question that was in the poll, I was thinking it is the responsibility of both the board as well as the teachers. But how many of our schools have solar panels? Because I mean, I take pride in my team. I have an amazing team of 14 students, and we kind of do a great job. And we also have the solar panels. So we are trying our best. But how many schools, like, how's the board actually kind of, the question should be how many schools have the solar panels, and how is the board actually conserving energy?
So we have 174 schools that do have solar panels. I think that's the right number. If Jen is on the webinar, maybe she can help me. But
358.
Sorry, I am completely wrong. So we do have quite a few solar panels. You can actually see the data, the amount of electricity that they're producing as well, and what they're putting towards the grid. We also have our utility site too. So if you're interested in that, your students can look at the infographics that we have there on the amount of GHG emissions that they're creating within their school, electricity consumption, and all of that as well. So we will be sending out links to additional resources after the webinar to everybody, and we'll include that as well. But you have to be a TDSB teacher to be able to access that information for your school, and students can't access it either. But reach out to me, because I would love to show you all of the different resources there. And there's a lot of different activities that you can use in combination to what Katie was presenting today as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. One thing interesting about the solar panels too is that month to month, obviously it's going to be different, but also year to year, it's a little bit different too, which makes me think of like the shade from different buildings. Maybe there was a construction, or, leaves being on the building, different things like that. But having students to kind of, think about that as well is kind of a neat as well.
Okay. Thanks very much. I appreciate the answers. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Yeah. So thank you, Katie. You've given us so many tangible ways to kind of think about energy and bring it to light, and get students thinking about it. And so thank you very much for that. And we can see definitely you're passionate for this work as well.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it's great, 'cause we know a lot of teachers are using your resources, and it's wonderful to see you bring them to light, definitely. So we'll just share some upcoming events with everybody. So we've got Environment Learning in Action. So it's in teacher inquiry from the TDSB. So these are just some future webinars. So it's going to be on April 15th. We'll have some educators going over some of the things that they are doing around environmental education. And then AI and sustainability, that will be coming in on May 20th as well. We also will be having Climate Camp this summer coming up too, and also Cultivating Connections, and we'll give more details for that as well. But we will definitely give you all the information you need in the next email coming up with all these different resources and links as well. And I think that is it, unless anyone else has any questions. We'll finish our webinar today. So this is just brought to you from TDSB Sustainability Office and OISD Scan here. So please email us, let us know how you're doing, and if there's anything else we can do to support you in your work. Thank you very much. Bye.